Alright, I'll try to keep this concise. If I overlook enough stuff people point out, I'll make a follow-up post addressing that. In short, Deltarune has a plot on 2 levels. There's, of course, the main level, which we see most of the time. It's what most casual players would see as the entire game. You know, 3 heroes showing up, stealing dark fountains, and probably fighting the knight in the future. Then there's the meta level, which is a bit more complicated. It's best explained by using the game itself, because it is an analogy to the game itself. Look at the central elements of the world. The light world, lightness, darkness, the dark world, and the prophecy. The light world can best be compared to the real world. We got monsters who are like quirky humans, cars, school. It's an everyday place. So, in short, lightness are just like you and me. Then we got the dark world, where fantasy rules, toys and such, come to life, and their purpose is to serve lightness and make them happy. A popular theory is that it's some kind of escape fantasy. Ralsei even reminds the protagonists that they cannot neglect school because of it. Impending apocalypse and all doesn't seem to be that serious to him. So what does all that mean on the meta level? The dark world is fiction, or to have a more direct comparison, it is a video game. The darkness are like NPCs which serve the player's enjoyment. It is a place where ordinary children forget their real-world worries and feel like heroes. What is the legend of Deltarune then, or prophecy as I like to call it short? At face value, it is an odd legend in the world, describing future events. In the meta sense, I would call this the script, the way the game is supposed to be played out. I would expand this to not only refer to what the prophecy itself entails, but other moments where there seems to be a clear way things are supposed to be. Some examples for this. Ralsei dismissing Spamton, as he's not supposed to be important to the story. It's just some machine, despite the heavy implications it would have if it would be part of the story. Then there's a moment in the weird route where the camera is supposed to pan away when Susie and Noelle have their moment, but when it doesn't, Ralsei is very confused. In general, Ralsei seems to be aware of how things are supposed to play out, or at least to some degree, and is puzzled whenever they deviate from this script or legend or whatever you want to call it. But it's not only Ralsei, there seem to be some characters who at least know more than they're supposed to, from a world standpoint. There's Ralsei, who seems to know the script, Shawn, who knows about game mechanics and the future, Jevil, who knows nobody is free and the world is a game, and also alludes to the future, and there's Bantam, who also is aware that he is some sort of puppet, that he isn't free. He even dies when his strings are cut. For the secret bosses, and by extension Shawn, this is very interesting, because they had contact with a strange individual who made them that way, or at least gave them some sort of insight that changed them. So is there some character, some entity outside the script that isn't bound to the script, that changes and derails things? Gaster, as cliché as it has become, is the obvious suspect. There's the strangeness all around him, there's the garbage noise, which Spamton refers to, and of course he's also the one who releases the game on Twitter. Right now there's just no other suspect, other than perhaps Toby Fox, but let's hope he isn't self-inserting himself to be a major plot element. That seems to be most unwise. Interestingly, he is also the one who's trying to make a custom vessel, so perhaps this also was an attempt to change the world of Deltarune by changing things by letting us make a custom character. That being said, there are 2 characters in the Gonna Maker. Gaster, and the one who destroys the vessel, the one who speaks like Chara. This entity seems keen to preserve the rules of the world. Nobody can choose who they are. I believe that this is Chara, but not the character from Undertale. You see, if you listen to Chara at the end of a genocide run, they say some very interesting things. The thing you see before you is not a child who fell into the underground. It is your desire to play a game personified, to gain power, experience, to see everything that the game has to offer. They even tell you to destroy this world and move on to the next. In the game of Undertale, there is no other world. But that isn't what Chara meant. They meant to move on to the next game, and then the next. This is what I consider Deltarune's Chara. Not some child, but the concept that a game is just that. Mechanics that you follow until the end, and then move on to the next. Speaking about things and how they are supposed to be, there's one more thing that is related to this point. The Gonner Code. The Gonner Code is often assumed to be this holiday, but that isn't really important to this point. It's often assumed to be a person really stuck in the code, deleted in the game. Or perhaps metaphorical, that it's someone missing and calling out and it's just a future hint, but I'm choosing to take this very literally. I believe it's a person who was in the world of Deltarune, but got removed for our release of the game. Thinking there's some kind of legend or script or some way things are supposed to be, relating these two things seems to be an interesting idea. Were they supposed to be in the game, but got removed for some reason? Or weren't they supposed to be in the game, and they were in the world and were then removed, so everything is like it's supposed to be? As Chara has been shown to be able to dabble in the code in Undertale, and they are the ones who make the things they are supposed to be, I'd consider this to be my interpretation for now. So, the character existed in the world of Deltarune, but wasn't supposed to be in the story or the game we got, and because of that, Chara or this concept removed them. So, to conclude this point, I believe that in Deltarune, not only in the Dark World, not only for saving the world, not only for prophecy, there is some kind of script, some kind of overarching force that's preserving the game as it's supposed to be, or making the game it's supposed to be. Basically, if we consider the characters in the game like sentient beings, it's something that's enforcing their will upon them and making them into puppets, like Spamton. One small tangent I want to mention before my final conclusions is Skies Forever Blue. In that song, or video, a game character becomes aware that they are in a game, and for the first part they follow the script, but then break away for the final time and say what they actually believe. It's also implied they are only happy when the game is being played. This reminds me a lot of the Darkness, who, as Rolsey says, are basically happy to serve a lightness, and as the king shows, are despairing and becoming very, very angry if they aren't being played with. While I don't think it will be one-for-one connected to Deltarune, I do believe this is like a hint of where Toby's mindset is. That he's exploring the idea of game characters being sentient, being able to think and feel, and how they react to the knowledge that they are inside a game. So perhaps this could be related to Darkness realizing they are toys for the lightness to play with, or on a more meta level, everyone in Deltarune, or some people in Deltarune, realizing they are to us like Darkness are to them. What if they realize they are puppets to some sort of script, and their existence is made to entertain us? So what is this theory in short? Deltarune is an analogy for itself. The characters are to us as Darkness are to lightness. The prophecy for them is a game for us. Basically, the plot unraveling between Dark and Light world could be transferred to Deltarune and real world. Now for a bit of speculation. I believe this will be explored in the game, perhaps if you fight all the secret bosses. Chris already know they are a Lightner that is a puppet, they are controlled by some outside entity, just like Spamton was. So what if they find out that it's not just them being controlled, but everyone being inside some sort of game? So that's more or less it. I didn't want to become too rambly, so I'm going to cut it here.